Welcome back to Fate's Guardians. In our last episode, we plunged into the depths of Freya's battle with the 7 demons of her past, peeling back the dark layers of her tormented soul. Today we shift our focus to Adrienne, whose tale is ready to burst into the spotlight. But first, let's briefly recap the harrowing events that unfolded last week. Previously, Freya's feud with her nightmarish assailants reached a terrifying climax, turning her sleep into a battlefield against forces that threatened to consume her essence. Her struggles with the demons that emerged from her bedroom's shadows left us all on edge, pondering the deeper significance of these spectral attackers. Now, in Episode 6, Ravens and Omens, we're taken deep into the tangled destiny of Adrienne and the mysterious happenings at Rose Academy. As she faces her nightmare, a series of unsettling events begins to unfold, each pointing toward the emergence of dark, powerful forces. The chilling discovery of a dead raven serves as a sinister omen, suggesting that turbulent times lie ahead for our guardians. Throughout the night and early morning, Adrienne must endure eerie signs and symbols, indicating that her fate is inexorably tied to the cryptic prophecies contained within the ancient scroll. As we trace Adrienne's footsteps through these critical moments, we're compelled to ponder: what prophetic messages are heralded by the appearance of the dead raven? And how will the strange occurrences at the library drive our guardian closer to the truth she desperately seeks? Join us as we explore deeper into the mysteries that bind these guardians to their destinies. Uncover the secrets that lurk behind the mundane facade of school life and the spectral shadows that hover over their paths. Beads of sweat trickled down Adrienne's forehead, each droplet a tribute to the torment of her restless night. Overwhelmed and disoriented, she pushed away from her desk, her hands trembling. The nightmare's heavy presence clung to her, leaving her mind, body, and soul utterly drained. As she glanced at her phone, the harsh glow of the screen revealed the time: 3 a.m.
Great. Literally, the worst nightmare I've ever had took place during the Devil's Hour.
Despite the coolness of the room, she found herself drenched in sweat, making her shiver. The dim glow of the moon filtered through the curtains, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls. She had fallen asleep at her desk again, trying to hack into the school's system to promote climate change. Her laptop opened in front of her, the soft glow of the screen illuminating her troubled expression. The silence of the night surrounded her, broken only by the faint hum of the air conditioning and the distant sounds of a campus asleep. The nightmare lingered like a dark cloud, its echoes unsettlingly vivid since Professor Clark's class. She could still hear the distant screams and feel the oppressive heat of a burning world against her skin. Her room felt suffocatingly small, a tight cage amplifying her growing claustrophobia. Across the room, her roommate Taylor was a silent, sleeping figure beneath a pink eye mask, oblivious to the night's tension.
I'm glad one of us is at least having sweet, pink Barbie girl dreams.
Taylor's side of the room was meticulously organized, every item arranged with precision. Magazines neatly stacked, pink pencils lined up like little soldiers, and an array of happy photos symmetrically aligned. On the other hand, Adrienne's half was in direct opposition in more ways than one. Her space was a reflection of her complex character. Tech gadgets and wires were sprawled across her desk. Piles of environmental science textbooks were scattered with crumpled papers filled with code and diagrams. Her laptop, a lantern in the dimly lit room, displayed screensavers of lush green forests and rotating Earth animations. Her passion for technology and environmental activism was unmistakable. Despite the mess, there was a certain comfort in the disarray. The soft glow of her laptop screen cast a gentle, familiar light, making her space feel more like a sanctuary than a mere part of a dorm room. Dark yet somehow welcoming, her side was a true reflection of her inner world. Brilliant, untamed, and deeply connected to the darker yet nurturing aspects of nature. Suddenly, Adrienne's nightmare-riddled mind was yanked back to reality by a loud thud against the window. As she approached it cautiously, her hand trembling as she nudged the glass pane open to look at the bird. Its black feathers were ruffled, a few lying loose on the windowsill. The raven's lifeless body was a memorandum of the suddenness of death. Its neck was twisted at an unnatural angle, a vacant stare frozen in its dark eyes. The sight sent an icy shiver through her body.
Oh my God.
Adrienne let out a shaky breath, her mind swirling with confusion and fear. She had always been a rational person, but this was beyond her comprehension. As she recoiled from the sight, something else caught her eye. Below, standing amidst the night fog, was a figure clad entirely in black, its face obscured by a cloak. It stood completely still. She couldn't make out a face. She felt the dark being's gaze looking directly up at her across the distance. Her roommate stirred in her sleep, muttering incomprehensible words. When Adrienne turned back to look out the window, the dark cloaked figure was gone, leaving behind a chilling sensation that lingered on her skin. As she tried to make sense of it all, the haunting images of the nightmare continued to linger in her mind, their vividness refusing to fade away. The nightmare was an unwelcome companion, one that stalked her even in the realm of wakefulness, leaving her on edge and questioning the very fabric of reality.
I gotta get out of here.
Shaking off her lingering discomfort, Adrienne decided that a hot shower might help wash away her worries. With that hopeful thought, she stepped into the communal bathroom, eager to let the steamy water cleanse the remnants of her nightmare and the haunting visions of the dead raven and the ominous figure outside her dorm. As the water cascaded over her, she scrubbed vigorously, trying to erase the creeping unease that clung to her like a second skin. But the solace of the shower was short-lived. Abruptly, the lights above started to flicker wildly, casting erratic shadows across the tiles. A sudden chill swept through the room, so intense that Adrienne could see her breath misting in the air despite the steam from her hot shower. Then, a pungent smell of sulfur invaded the space, making her gag. The stench was overpowering, filling the bathroom with an acrid scent of decay. Suddenly, a scraping sound echoed off the walls, followed by a low, menacing growl. Her heart was pounding. Adrienne froze, and her hands were slick with soap. Slowly, she pulled back the shower curtain just a sliver, her eyes scanning the bathroom. Nothing seemed amiss, but the lights continued their eerie dance, and the temperature dropped further. The growl sounded again. Closer this time, emanating from one of the stalls. Panicked, Adrienne snapped the curtain shut, her breathing heavy, her mind racing.
It's all in your head. None of this is real. It can't be.
But fear was swiftly consuming her, gripping her with a visceral terror. Just as she attempted to calm her frayed nerves, a flicker of orange caught her eye. Smoke began to seep into the shower stall, and in a horrifying instant, she saw flames licking the edges of the bathroom. Adrienne yanked open the curtain as the entire room appeared to be engulfed in fire. She quickly wrapped herself in a towel, coughing from the smoke that thickened the air. With her heart in her throat, Adrienne raced towards the door. But as she cast a final, terrified glance back, the fire vanished as abruptly as it had appeared. The lights steadied, the temperature normalized, and the bathroom was calm once more, as if nothing had happened. Stunned and still dripping wet, Adrienne bolted from the bathroom, her feet slapping against the cold tiles as she hurried back to her room, wrapped only in her towel, with water streaming from her body and hair. The memory of the fire seared in her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that something unearthly had just occurred. Adrienne slipped through the door of her room and shut it swiftly behind her, pressing her back against it as if to barricade herself from some unseen pursuer. She cast a quick glance at her roommate, who was still lost in the peaceful embrace of sleep, blind to the night's disturbances. Moving on tiptoes, she carefully navigated towards her bed, trying not to make a sound. As she reached her bedside, her eyes fell on the clock. It read 4 a.m.
God, it's only 4? It feels like an entire lifetime has passed. I just need the sun to come up.
As she laid back down on her bed, the idea of going back to sleep was out of the question. She had had enough nightmares for one night. Retrieving her phone from the nightstand, she delved into an intense research session on nightmares, waking up at 3 a.m., hallucinations, and the elusive scroll of destiny. Through countless articles and websites, Adrienne tirelessly searched for answers to the questions that plagued her, determined to understand why her life had been turned upside down. As the first rays of sunlight peeked through the curtains, signaling a new day dawning, Adrienne knew she needed to escape the haunting memories lingering in her dorm room. She quickly rose from her bed, careful not to disturb her still sleeping roommate. Slipping into a black t-shirt, jeans, and combat boots, she made her way to the school's library on the other side of campus. Each step carried her further from the suffocating grip of the night's events, offering a glimmer of hope. As she made her way to the library, the summer morning enveloped her with a warm embrace, occasionally broken by refreshing breezes that swept across the campus paths. Despite the early hour, the sun was already casting its vibrant rays, brightening the surroundings and highlighting lingering patches of shade. The dew-kissed grass glistened underfoot, reflecting the morning light and adding a fresh, clean scent to the balmy air. The campus was unusually quiet, lending an almost surreal quality to her walk, like she was alone in a world just waking up. Adrienne stepped into the library and was immediately struck by the striking difference between the outdoor heat and the library's cool, quiet interior. The profound silence was punctuated only by her footsteps echoing on the cool, tiled floor. As she moved deeper inside, the empty halls allowed her to savor the tranquility of the space, offering her a moment of solitude and relief from the summer's warmth and the weight of what had just happened earlier. She inhaled deeply, the faint scent of old books and polished wood enveloping her, a comforting scent of the vast knowledge housed within these walls. Seeking a private nook, Adrienne navigated through the aisles to a secluded corner of the library, ensuring she was hidden from anyone coming in.
This should work, I guess.
Seated at an old wooden table hidden among the towering bookshelves, Adrienne opened her laptop and dove into her research. She started with the symbolism of ravens as omens, then explored medical explanations for hallucinations, and finally burrowed into the ancient lore surrounding the Scroll of Destiny. Each keystroke was methodical, filling her with a sense of purpose as she sifted through data and articles. This focused inquiry was a welcome distraction from the recent chaos, channeling her troubled thoughts into the pursuit of answers that might explain the eerie occurrences she'd experienced. Suddenly, the library lights flickered. At first, they were intermittently, then more persistently, until they flashed like the pulse of a disturbed heart. A cold dread settled over her as the library was plunged into darkness.
Oh no, not again.
Adrienne's heart was pounding. She squeezed her eyes shut and pulled her knees up to her chest, rocking back and forth.
This isn't real. I'm just hallucinating.
Then the air around her grew inexplicably hot. Adrienne opened her eyes to another nightmare coming to life. The library was ablaze, just like the bathroom. Flames encroached on everything, casting eerie reflections that danced across the walls. Above her, grotesque creatures with elongated fangs and eyes glowing an unnatural red crawled menacingly among the flames. Their forms twisted and contorted as they descended slowly from the smoke-filled heavens. Their presence brought about primal fear that could render you stuck in place, becoming easy prey for the predator in front of you. She was trapped, surrounded by fire and demonic beings descending from above. As she stared in mounting horror, a figure clad in black glided down one of the aisles toward her. The flames seemed to recoil from it, parting around its form as if even the fire itself feared its presence. The figure stopped before her, its face obscured by darkness, and in a deep, resonant voice that seemed to reverberate through the very air, it declared,
"You are destined for this."
Tears streamed down Adrienne's face as she closed her eyes and screamed.
No!
Her voice was drowned out by the crackling of the flames and the soft thuds of demonic entities landing around her. But when she dared to look again, the fire had vanished as abruptly as it had appeared, and the library was restored to its quiet, dim state, as if nothing had happened. Panting and disoriented, Adrienne glanced at her phone to ground herself in reality, only to see that nearly 4 hours had passed. It was already 11 a.m. A notification flashed on her screen. The school's soccer team had won their game. A mundane slice of normalcy that felt surreal in comparison to her ordeal. Then, the sound of approaching footsteps snapped her back to alertness. Her body tensed, bracing for the figure in black to reappear, but instead it was a familiar, welcoming face. One she was relieved and so happy to see. As Adrienne's nightmarish encounter fades into the calm of day, we're left to ponder the sinister undertones that lurk beneath the surface. What do these omens foretell for Adrienne? How will the dark figure and the fiery illusions shape her path forward? Who is the welcoming face that she's happy to see? Join us next week on Fate's Guardians, as we turn our focus solely to Milo, whose own journey is about to take center stage. Will his experiences mirror the haunting events that have shaken the other four Guardians? If you're captivated by the unfolding mysteries of Fate's Guardians, please show your support by following the show and leaving a review. Stay tuned as we continue this enigmatic journey, where the answers sought are just a whisper away in the winds of fate. Remember, in this world of shadow and light, every hint of darkness may lead to deeper truths, and each challenge could unveil a fragment of their larger destiny. Where there is light, darkness inevitably follows, yet light always pierces through the shadows. Join us as we forge ahead on this mysterious journey, where the answers you seek are carried on the winds of fate, murmuring secrets just beyond reach.